Does it look like they hear me?
Afternoon.
Do I need to? Is my mic? Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. We can hear you, Shirley. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm calling to order Senate meeting number 6, and I'll ask Maria to go ahead with the quorum calculation.
Okay, we'll go ahead and initiate that right now. I'll be sharing screen in 1 second. I understand there's a little delay, so I'm going to go ahead and read the question and begin to vote. Select the answer that corresponds to the campus in which you are attending today's meeting. I'm going to keep it open just a little bit longer since they seem to still be coming in. Okay, we're going to be closing the poll.
Okay, and now if you could ask the second question.
Very well, opening up the second question. So the second question reads, in the last month, have you contacted members of the academic unit which you represent if they have any concerns they would want you to bring to the Senate for discussion? The answers are yes, I have, no, I have not, or you abstain. Seven abstainers? Okay. I'm going with this one. So big. I'll go 5. All right, closing the poll.
You are good.
Yeses are winning.
Okay, I think that's progress. Thank you, Maria.
I agree.
Okay. Our first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes of the February 3rd meeting. The minutes were posted on the website. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? From Tempe?
Nothing from Tempe.
From downtown?
Nothing from downtown. Thank you.
From Poly?
Nothing from Poly. Thank you.
Thank you. Then the minutes are approved as distributed. Thanks, everyone. For my UAC chair's report today, I am not going to update recently closed RFCs as I originally planned because we have a very full agenda. I'll postpone that to our next meeting, but I do have several items for the report. The first item is I'm going to ask if you all would join me in a moment of silence in recognition of the passing of Chris Sheehan. And I'll, in a few minutes here, or in a few seconds, I'll read a tribute to him. Okay, thank you. Chris Sheehan was a colleague in a university technology office, and I'm going to read a tribute from Jim Casey, director of the University Technology Office. On Friday night, our dear friend and colleague Chris Sheehan passed away. He had been hospitalized recently and underwent surgery, but his spirits were high. That was Chris for you, always full of enthusiasm, energy, and light. He brought that every day, not only to the learning experience group, but also to every activity in his life. He is survived by his wonderful wife, Sina, and 4 beautiful children, Sydney, Hannah, Jet, and Bodhi. Chris was among the most passionate and invested people in the success of learners, and he didn't just stand on the sidelines. He led a major effort to advance digital portfolios at ASU with the overarching aim of enabling students to better express their acquired skills and knowledge to prospective employers and beyond. A forward thinker, he authentically understood and catered to the concept of the universal learner long before the term was ever put into print. More recently, he co-led an ASU Learning Futures collaboratory work stream of over 100 constituents across the university, focused on advancing digital credentials, including faculty, staff, and students. This was an agreed upon but largely volunteer effort of Chris, a reflection of his character and dedication. When we talk about technology in the service of learners, Chris walked the walk every day. Thanks. A couple of other announcements. If Maria, if you would put up the notice for the Hayden Library grand opening. Everyone's invited.
It's up.
I hope most of you had at least on the Tempe campus, have had an opportunity to visit the newly renovated library, but there's also this specific grand opening celebration event on March 25th. And the last item I'll announce is that we will be having an open forum. The Senate will sponsor an open forum on the General Studies revision, and we're going to have that on April 6th from 3 to 4:30. That's a Monday, so it's at that time that many of you may already have cleared in your calendars on Monday afternoon, since that's when we have our Senate meetings. I hope to see a good representation of the Senate there, but this is, of course, open to all faculty, and we will be promoting this and sending around information about it very soon. I don't believe there's a report from the university president or his designee. We do have a report from Provost Searle.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity, Shirley, to speak with everyone today. I wanted to update you on probably the thing I'm getting the most questions about, which is preparations in light of the novel coronavirus. And it's certainly an understandable concern that everybody has. Just give you some context, as I spoke to you last time about this, we've been working daily on this since the first case was presented. That individual at ASU, by the way, has been released from his sequestration and reintroduced back into the community. He's doing fine. His health is fine. And as a footnote, was never treated with any prescription medication. And so it was a fairly mild experience for him. No doubt annoying to have been kept in isolation for about 3 weeks in total. But ASU's had a long history of continuity of operation plans. These were established years ago. They're updated annually. We also have a committee that's been established back in the early 2000s to deal with pandemics, and they meet regularly and always have, not just when something like this arises. So we've had a structure in place that has been working toward this for a long time. We are continuing to follow the advice of the Centers for Disease Control, which is, just to remind everybody, it's the same advice they give you for flu prevention. Wash your hands, sneeze into your elbow. And those are the most important things that people can be doing to try and prevent the spread of both the flu and this. But we do need to be prepared to carry on instruction should some crisis develop. And so we're taking further steps to make sure that we're prepared to do that. And all of this is essentially just good preparation. Something that I've learned in looking at this in a great deal of detail is that some of the institutions like the University of Washington, Seattle, who deal with more both natural disasters and weather disasters, have had some of these procedures in place for a while. And so we don't really ever get natural disasters, and we don't really have much weather, just heat. And that doesn't seem to stop us from our normal course of action. So we do want to be prepared, and we have groups working now to ensure that we can sustain all of our, or as much of our services and supports the students as possible, including those in residence and those who are international students who might not be living in residence but might need additional support in the community. We also have to be prepared to move to remote instruction should that circumstance arise. And that can be done in probably one of two ways, and we're working to ensure that we have good information available for everyone around this. One would be for those who have well-developed Canvas shells and have a lot of content there, then they could convert their course to online and teach it asynchronously. And then and we would have to provide some information, and we would, and we've got that being developed this week, so that individuals who would like to upload videos of maybe themselves giving a lecture or something could be put in the Canvas shell, students could view it, so on. And so you could enhance the experience from just the shell itself and its content. And the second is that we are able to deliver any face-to-face class that we now offer by Zoom. We have the capacity to do it. Zoom is a cloud-based initiative, so it's at least theoretically endlessly supportable for what we want to do. And that would be structured in the way that you would expect, which is we would simply have the students attend at the same time that they regularly attend, except they would do it by going through Zoom. And so, and then you would Zoom from wherever you were to do the face-to-face instruction. Now, you'd still have to complement that with some Canvas content so that there was either testing or other kinds of things that you could do for assessing students. But both those methods we think will work, and we're going to be pursuing and making sure we have all the information available so people are prepared should something arise. We do know that there are three circumstances of instruction that we have to figure out a solution for which we don't at this point have, and that is obviously one with laboratories. And it may be that, well, first of all, I have a meeting this week with most of the folks who teach in laboratories in terms of their department chairs or deans to understand what we might do, and if we can't, then how could we accommodate when we resume in a compressed environment where they could take the labs in a short period of time. The School of Molecular Sciences does this now with their online biochemistry degree, where the students come in the summer for, I think it's 7 days, where they are 7 days in the lab doing all the labs, and they found great success with that model, actually. So we'll see what we can do there. Similarly, I also know that arts and design courses will have special challenges, and we're also meeting with the leaders there to figure out what we might do to accommodate that. And lastly, we will have students on internships, fieldwork, and clinical placements, and we'll have to figure out how we're going to accommodate those kinds of disruptions, if there are any, or if they're able to continue that assignment, because they may be doing their internship in a different geographic space than the Phoenix metro area. And I think it's important to remember that if we're actually having to close down the campus, this must be a really huge problem. So it's not going to be some localized kind of thing. You know, the other thing I would say is that it was interesting listening to the testimony of the director of the Centers for Disease Control in front of Congressional Committee earlier this week. And he reinforced that, you know, we're probably in the best position as a country because we have the best public health surveillance system in the world. And we have a very good health system. And so, you know, he pointed out, he was asked, he says, but, you know, in Wuhan, for example, they had built these hospitals in miraculous periods of time to treat people. And he pointed out that that's true, but they didn't have any more doctors, nurses, or respiratory therapists. And so that there wasn't any better way to help those people because they lacked the human infrastructure necessary to address that. on our end, we have good fortune because we also run a very very good nursing school. The Edson School has been developing plans under Dean Karshmer that if necessary, they could deploy their nurses, meaning the faculty and the students who are already trained as nurses and their pre-service nurses to help with any kind of healthcare emergency that might arise. So all those kinds of things are going on in biodesign. We have research going on a vaccine. So we are trying to bring all of the resources of ASU to bear to not only accommodate what might be a crisis in the future, but also to try and help solve it before it happens. I guess the upside of this, at least for me, is that I'm having to sharpen my skills to learn how to use these technologies better so I can be a better teacher. And actually welcome that because I have to say that they're not as good as they probably should be in terms of using some of these tools. And we probably are going to test some of this, and we'll probably be asking for volunteers to help us test the Zoom delivery. That might be as soon as sometime this week, but it will only be for people who agree to do it and won't be disruptive to their class to try it. And so, overall, I'm very confident of our adaptive abilities. We have an incredible reputation as an innovative institution, and I think that we can accommodate this. At this point, there's no serious concern that this is about to happen, but prudence says that we need to be prepared, and so we're doing everything we can be to be prepared in every instance. And so just wanted to report to the Senate what we are doing, and I'd welcome any questions if anybody has any.
Speak up so that everyone can hear. That's the way.
Okay. Yeah, I have a question. Now that spring break is coming up and our students can travel wherever they want to, has there been any emails sent to the students? Like, I know faculty have been postponing their travel, and there was also a letter or just an email I remember telling people just stay put.
Mm-hmm.
How are our students? So they're going to come back and we're going to get whatever they have.
Well, there is always the risk that people will travel, and whether they tell us or not. Yes, I'll have to check with Jim Rund. Jim Rund is running all that for the student side, and I will find out if any advice has gone out. We have canceled our study abroad programs in any country designated as a level 3 spread of the disease. So that includes Italy, South Korea, China, and I can't remember if there's another one. I seem to think there is, but by and large, I mean, I don't think most people will be able to get to places where there's an outbreak because they won't be able to get back in without going through quarantine. And so we have that right now with students coming back from Italy who are going to have to go through quarantine. But I will definitely follow up with Jim Rund about that.
Any questions from the downtown campus?
No questions from downtown.
Any questions from the Poly campus?
No questions from Polly. Thank you.
Okay, and it looks like there are none from Tempe either. Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I asked a question before you allowed us to ask a question. I'm so sorry.
I have one more matter I thought I should report on because the Senate had asked me about this before, and I wanted to get back to you. There was a question about salary compression, and we did start to address that for tenure track faculty this past January. It was in the low hundreds of faculty who were adjusted to deal with that. There's still more adjustments that are needed, and we're hoping to invest that funds in the coming year or two. And at the same token, we're now looking at all of our non-tenure track faculty so that we get an estimate of where compression is a factor there, coupled with performance, because it's not just compression, it has to be tied to performance. And I don't have that information just yet, but we are working on both those. And I just wanted to let senators know that we had been committed to that and we continue to be.
Will you take questions about that? Sure. Any questions for Provost Searle about this last matter? From the Tempe? No, there's no one. From the downtown campus?
No questions from downtown.
from Polly.
I have a question.
Yes, we have questions here.
This is Joe Krastowski, Fulton Schools of Engineering at the Poly campus. We just had a faculty meeting and there was a concern from one of the faculty that some of the students after the outbreak has been officially announced, I guess, here in Arizona, the last 3 weeks have kind of dropped out from their classes. They're still enrolled apparently. And the question from the faculty was, who should they contact? The suggestion was advising. But my question to follow up is, should the provost office in cases like this be informed?
I'm sorry, why did the student drop out? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part of what you said.
They don't know. They're suspecting they're students from China, he mentioned. And he suspects it's because of the coronavirus. So he was asking who should he notify? And the answer was the advising office at the school. But my question is, should the provost office in case like this be also notified?
Well, we do monitor withdrawals, including medical and complete withdrawals. And so far, interestingly, this semester, those are down substantially compared to this time last year. So any indication that there's any trend because of the virus doesn't seem to be substantiated, at least by the formal behavior of students relative to withdrawals. But if there's a concern about this and there's some, you should certainly let your dean know and ask the dean to be connecting with our office, in particular with Fred Corey, our Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. I have a question related to the first issue. Are there any little measures we are doing on campus just to minimize the spread for the faculty? Because like it can be very simple, like we have disinfectant wipes in the classrooms because we use the computers after each other, and students sometimes come and just show me something on the computer. Are there any simple measures we are taking? And has ASU ever in the past closed its doors because of an emergency?
I'll do the last one first, and the answer is no.
Okay. It's always easy.
Yes.
You get it otherwise.
And honestly, I think it's quite remote that this will happen this time. We have bought, I don't know how many thousands of bottles of hand disinfectant to be spread around the university so that they are in every room. I don't see one in this room.
We don't have any at West. Because
Well-
in my classes, I didn't see any.
Well, I will follow up on that because
That's why Amazon is out of it. You guys bought all of them.
I'm telling you, we bought boatloads of this stuff. But I will find out why they're not here, because they really should be in every room.
We really appreciate it.
And I do think that's one of the appropriate things. I will tell you, though, that the CDC insists that the best prevention is actually washing your hands.
Yeah.
It's better than the antibacterial.
Yeah.
So,
But if something in class, right, then it's better than nothing.
Thank you.
Wanted
we'll
to
move
add
ahead.
There has been additional cleaning being scheduled across the campus in response to this. So yes, things have stepped up.
Thank you.
Earlier this week, one of the facility workers came through our office area and did every doorknob with some sort of spray disinfectant.
yes.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on now to our other reports. Our first informational report is from Patricia Friedrich, Associate Dean of Academic Programs and Faculty Affairs here at New College. And she is going to talk about the General Studies launch here at the West Campus.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you very much for having me. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I want to first thank Maria for helping me out with these very few slides that I'm going to present to you. I'm very excited to present to you the general parameters and general makeup of our pilot for general studies. I want to first acknowledge the team that worked on this with me and has been working very intensively with me on this, and also the task force that created the general layout for the program that included Dr. Shirley Rose and our own Dr. Scott Barkley, who's our Director of Social and Behavioral Sciences, amongst many other colleagues. They worked very hard on a more at the more abstract level of the proposal. And then we were given the task, me and my team, to bring it to the operational level and to implement it for the whole West Campus as a pilot for the whole university. So my team is actually represented here by two of its members, Dr. Sherry Collins and Dr. Stephen Toth. And also part of the team were Dr. Heather Smith-Kanoy, Dr. Greg Wise, Dr. Sri Kanthaswamy, and Dr. Pamela Marshall. And so we have disciplines as diverse as philosophy, history, poli-sci, communication, genetics, forensic science, biology, and social linguistics as represented by me in this committee, so that the program could be as representative of this disciplinary and interdisciplinary diversity as possible. So I wanted to start giving you an idea of the parameters of the program so that you know what kind of design we were looking at because of the task that was given to us. So this was to include all first-year students, full-time first-year students on the West Campus. So not just New College, but all of the units that operate at the West Campus. A rough estimate is that depending on growth and enrollment, we'll have between 800 and 1,000 students that need to be served in this first year of the pilot at the West Campus. We were asked to do this based on a theme, and so we consulted, especially with the faculty. It was a very democratic process to try and come up with a theme that was that would involve many disciplines and at the same time be meaningful as a general thread that would run throughout the program. So the main objective of the new GS program was that students were not just speaking random classes, but rather that there was a common thread that would guide their study of general studies so that they could see a continuation of a theme throughout their studies. And after consultation with the faculty and our own deliberations, we came up with transformations as the topic for our pilot. One of the things that we had to have in mind the whole time was that whatever theme we came up with and whatever program we came up with would have to work for different degrees, and degrees as different as English, early education, forensic science, community health, business administration, you name it. We have more than 100 undergraduate degrees represented at the West Campus. So whatever we came up with would have to work with these very different degrees, some of them professional degrees with accreditation and certification concerns in mind, others a lot more fluid. And so this was a constant preoccupation we had while designing. We also had to maintain the existing general studies audit, have a sense of some participation for transfer students who are not mandated to be in the program, because many times they come already with many of their general studies requisites fulfilled. And so we wanted them to be a part of it, but an optional part of the program, but we wanted every student who started as a first year full-time student to partake of general studies thematic units. And looking into the future, something that could be implemented university-wide when we were finished. We wanted to continue to operate through DARS so that the audit would work through DARS. So this program had to be superimposed on the 36 credit requirement that the students take for their general studies, meaning that they will take 18 credits thematically and the other 18 as they please. But it had to be a system where DARS as we have it still works. We were asked to include a digital portfolio, one that would be a model for assessment and would include artifacts from those GS courses in the theme that the students were taking. And part of that would be that the portfolio is assessed longitudinally, so not just at the end, but that there were specific points in time during the program where students had to add artifacts to the program. We, of our own doing, because West Campus is very embedded in the community, and we try to have activities permeate the whole experience of the students on campus. We incorporated additional on-campus activities, and we partnered with First Year Composition. There are going to be assignments on transformations there. Our summer community read is being chosen to reflect the theme. We're having a TEDx event, our second on West Campus recently, and it's going to be on transformational communities so that we are within the theme. And Barrett has volunteered to participate as well, and we'll have assignments for students in their programs that reflect the theme of transformation as well. We were asked to incorporate knowledge and appreciation of American institutions, issues of sustainability, since it's one of the very important aspects of education at ASU. And like I said, incorporate outcomes assessment of general studies for the first time, exclusively, not just looking at general studies through the majors, but in themselves. Dr. Sherry Collins, I have to give credit for her, was the originator of this idea of a certificate in the study of transformations to be an additional incentive for students to complete the thematic units. So when they complete the 18 credits that they would otherwise already do for general studies, if they do it within the topic of transformation, they can apply to receive a certificate, an 18 credit certificate for having studied transformation from a multidisciplinary perspective. To our knowledge, this is the first time in a major US institution where a thematic program would involve all first year full-time students and not just an opt-in alternative. We investigated some models that exist out in the US, but they are opt-in alternatives. So we are the first to attempt to do it thematically for the whole university. And like I said, we're trying to incorporate courses ranging from fields as diverse as biology, political science, philosophy. We do have contributions from mathematical and natural sciences, but as it is common in general studies, there's a lot of participation from the social sciences and from the humanities. And the idea really of general studies education is to allow the students to step outside their field of expertise and for a minute try to solve a problem as a philosopher, as a scientist, as an artist, and then bring that knowledge back to the disciplinary orientation that they are pursuing. So as you can see, there were many, many things to incorporate. And I was very lucky to have a very, very, very committed and wonderful to work with team that came up with this program that you now see. I'm sorry for the small print, but I wanted to put everything in one slide for you to see. So this is the framework that we're working with. 3 1-credit courses that focus on the study of transformation. And the reason why we chose 3 1-credit courses rather than 1 introductory course is that this way we can do assessment longitudinally. If we only had 1 introductory course and 1 signature experience, we would have just 2 points of collecting important data for assessment. By breaking it down into 3 1-credit courses, we first of all have greater flexibility for scheduling, but we also have these collecting points for assessment data and information for the portfolios. Inquiry, collaboration, innovation, and engagement were categories already established for us by the work of the task force. So our job was to come up with courses that spoke to transformations and at the same time would be achievable in terms of general studies to those, like I said, 100+ degrees that we offer here. And then instead of creating a capstone opportunity, because many degrees already have capstones, and it would be, capstone for the major, capstone for general studies, we created a signature experience, which is represented by courses that have sort of a conclusion of course kind of feel, and one that is being created by the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences exclusively for us, approaches to transformations, if the students prefer to take that instead of a more disciplinary signature experience. So basically the students choose, they take the 3 courses in the first category, and then they choose 1 each for all of the other categories. As a reminder, some programs finish general studies in 2 years. The students are engaged with general studies throughout. But I think on top of everything else, a program like this gives us an opportunity to look back at our various curricular offerings and see if they're still fulfilling the goals of, having the students graduate mastering information in one particular area, but also having this general studies experience that is made possible by being in a great Research One university where basically everything known to humans is studied. And so we want to open the conversation up again about this balance between being disciplinary and catering, for example, to professional degrees where there are needs for certification and accreditation, but at the same time stepping out of those disciplines to think more globally, which is what general studies is meant to do in the first place. All right, I think this is it.
Will you take questions?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Do we have any questions here from West? Okay. Questions from downtown?
No questions from downtown.
Thank you. Questions from Polly?
No questions from Polly. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't see anyone up at the mic in Tempe, so I'm going to assume there are no questions.
No questions.
Tempe. Okay, thank you, Caroline. Let me say again, we're going to have the open forum on April 6th, 3 o'clock to 4:30. I'm not sure where the location will be, but wherever it is, it will also be possible to join by Zoom. So it doesn't matter a whole lot where it is. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Patty, for your presentation. And of course, for all of your work on this and
For
to your
yours as well.
colleagues on your team. Our next report is from Jan Thompson. Jan is the president of the Arizona State University Retirees Association, and I'd ask if she would come and give a brief presentation about their pre-retirement programming. It's never too early to plan for retirement.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you, Professor Rose. Good afternoon, everyone. My thanks to Professor Rose for the invitation to speak to the Senate today. The Senate has certainly gone high tech since I was in it in the 90s, so it's a pleasure. Very impressive. I appreciate the opportunity to acquaint you and your colleagues and constituents with the ASU Retirees Association, and specifically to highlight our offerings of interest to active ASU employees in all categories. First, a bit of history. ASU-RA was formed in 1990-91 by a small group of administrators, faculty, and staff who collaborated to bring about an organization that would serve the interests of retirees across all categories of employment at ASU. This philosophy of inclusion has been at the heart of the success of ASU-RA, which now boasts over 750 members, about 50% faculty administrative, and 50% university staff. Many of our faculty members are, like myself, also members of the Emeritus College. One of our association's primary missions is advocacy on behalf of ASU retirees. To that end, we actively monitor pending state legislative bills that might impact our members. We attend meetings of the ASRS and ADOA and the Governor's Council on Aging, and present an annual healthcare seminar during Medicare's open enrollment period in the fall. In addition, ASU-RA sponsors an annual $10,000 scholarship for a returning student, and our Adopt a Family program assists 2 needy families, university families, with food and gifts each year. In addition, we offer a full calendar of activities, including monthly seminars, luncheons, and special events, as well as international and statewide travel. 2 of our current offerings may be of special interest to you and your colleagues. First, the ASU-RA Video History Project. If you could go back to that, Maria. The Video History Project records video interviews with retired and former employees of ASU who have a significant history with the university. To date, we have interviewed 125 people. You're seeing a list of some of those flying by you there, including former presidents Nelson and Coor, many provosts, athletic directors, and employees across, again, all categories of employment. Each interview contains a unique story from the individual's perspective regarding ASU and its history. Our list of interviewees indicates which ones are fully edited and available for viewing, and which have video clips that can be viewed online. The fully edited videos are on DVD, and a large number of these are now available online from the ASU library. I encourage you to browse the videos for fascinating insights into ASU's history spanning the past 50 or more years. And we're continually adding to the Video History Project, incidentally. Finally, we appreciate your sharing information on one of our most exciting new offerings, and these are the pre-retirement seminar series with your colleagues. These seminars focus on topics of importance to those nearing retirement, providing useful information from qualified experts. Recent topics have included Social Security, financial readiness for retirement, understanding Medicare, I needed that one, and resilience in retirement. The seminars occur monthly on the first or second Mondays of the month from 12 to 1 p.m. at Computing Commons, room 120. They are Zoomed to all 4 campuses, providing remote access from your office computer. Our pre-retirement seminars are announced in Insight, in Staff Council communications, and on our website under the Retirement Info Planning for Retirement tab. Videos of each seminar are posted on our website, as you see here. The website again is asura.asu.edu. We welcome you to browse and explore the wide range of information available here and to get further acquainted with ASURA and all of our offerings. Upon retirement, all employees are automatically enrolled in ASURA and offered free introductory membership for 1 year. Following that, membership is $30 a year. The good news is that you can join ASURA while you are still working and use your free year of introductory membership at any time. Being a member before retirement is a good way to get acquainted with the organization, take advantage of our seminars and activities, meet lots of new and interesting people from diverse fields, and enjoy a happy transition to retirement. I must say that in the first year that I belonged to ASURA, I probably met more people than I had in the past 20 years that I was working at ASU. So it's a wonderful social contact as well as very educational and enjoyable in many ways. I have introductory membership blanks with me, as well as a trifold brochure and a copy of our 3 times a year newsletter called Prime Times available here. And all of that is also available, of course, on the website. Are there any questions?
I'll check with each of the campuses. Questions from downtown?
No questions from downtown.
Questions from Polly?
No questions from Polly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions here at West? And it looks like there's no questions from Tempe. Is that correct, Caroline?
Yep, that's correct. No questions.
Okay, thank you. Jan, I did have a question myself. I wanted to make sure I'd understood you correctly. Those seminars have all been recorded.
Yes.
So, and they're online, so we could go just download the seminar and watch it.
Yes, you can watch the video online for all the pre-retirement seminars. And
okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay. Thanks.
Thanks so much for your report.
For the opportunity. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm.
Our third report this afternoon is from Jeffrey Wilson, NCAA Faculty Athletics Representative for ASU. and he's going to talk to us about Intercollegiate Athletic Board issues and concerns.
Good afternoon. I just want to take a little bit of your time and present you with 3 slides, which will sort of discuss 3 key topics in an athlete's life. The first one will be the performance. I will bring you up to date with their performance. The second one, I like to bring you up to date with the transfer rule. And the third one will be the NIL that you probably have read about and have your own opinions about. Our pleased to report that our student athletes are still performing at a high level. And if you ever get the chance, ask the question, what's a day like in an athlete's life? Because they're supposed to have a limit as to how many hours they can work on the athletic event and still go to class and still go to the room, study room, and other things. But these are some, I'll let you read that there. These are some of the academic performances. As you will see that it's about 15 straight semesters where they have been above 3.0. And that's something that we are really proud about. You may be asking, what does this look like if I go down south? I want you to know it's not anything close to this. So you should be proud that you're not down south. We have a lot of discussion going on right now that a student athlete should be allowed to transfer whenever they like. From time to time, their faculty and other people say, why can the student athlete be treated just like a normal student? And so many of our rules and our policies and procedures really is to bring the two close together. Personally, I think that they'll never probably get there, but we are trying. And one of the things that is really up and center, has made its way even into Congress, that's the one-time transfer. And so your student athlete will be able to come to your school and decide, I don't like what's going on. And you could see, those of you who follow football would remember what happened for the last 2 years, the LSU quarterback, the Oklahoma quarterback, and others like that. So they want to make this across all sports and make that a student athlete come to university and didn't really sign up for that, but they thought all the glitter and so on looks like it was a place I should be. And now I'm here, I realize the coach isn't really what I thought it was, although we try to de-recruit our players when we bring them here. In other words, give them the reality very early. Sometimes they all think it's just like on their recruiting trip. And so this is one of the things. And the last one that you probably have read about is, I put this whole statement up here. This is the last state, the most recent state that has done something about NIL. And NIL simply means that the student athlete should be able to sell certain, make certain opportunities from what they do. But along with that, the universities are very concerned that when this happens, how do we control the boosters? The boosters will come in and say, we are assuming, they will come in and say, John Brown, can you do so and so for me? And the university has no rule. They might say, just talk at a party for me, come to this party. It might be $5,000 they offer him or $10,000. Some of us tend to believe that it may not come out to be that bad, because when this rule started, we have 650 student athletes here at the university. And I started to think, talking to the coaches, if this happened, how many student athletes you think could really sell the image and likeness? And it varies across sports. But when I total it up, it might surprise you that was less than 10 out of 650. Nevertheless, what happens in many areas, the public is out front with the fact that the universities exploit our student athletes. And that may sound like a good song bite to go. As you know, you always tend to be critical of athletics. But something I want to stop and let you think, and I'm not telling you what to think, or I don't have opinions here, I just bring the information. Wherever I'm going, I'm just carrying the information. Sometimes I'm carrying the information that I personally don't agree with, but it's not from my opinion, it's from me representing the university. But when you stop and think that we have 26 sports here at ASU, and thanks for Title IX, I have 3 daughters, thanks for Title IX, we see female student athletes have a lot of opportunity. But something you must remember, that there isn't one sport in the female side that will bring you a lot of revenue. It will bring you back a lot of stuff, but it wouldn't bring you back revenue dollars. Because we like to count the stuff that student athletes, female students and male, get the opportunity to have an education like they would not have. But when in reality, when you stop and think, and you could go, this is no secret, you can go up to the NCAA website and you can see what ASU athletic department, what they spend and what they got back. And you will see that football and now basketball are the ones that will bring you back a profit. But they are the ones that must provide the opportunity for the other 24 sports, male as well as female. And so when you get into the discussion, whatever kind of discussion you get into, the same thing that you tell your students, you should tell yourself, did I research this enough to be able to talk about it, to be able to give information? Right now, you can go up, go up there and give us feedback. We are looking for feedback. Then we take the feedback to the Pac-12. The Pac-12 then take the feedback to the NCAA. And one last thing, the NCAA really do not make rules. That's a surprise. Think about your homeowners association. You are a member, you are a homeowner, and you're a member of the homeowners association. And think about when you park your car up on the road after 9 or 10 o'clock and you get a paper next time in the mail, or you park too many cars on the driveway or whatever, or your gardener didn't make it and the grass start growing. Think about when the homeowners association send you a letter. What do you say? Those homeowners association. But you set those rules. You want your community to look good. It's the same thing in athletics. So like I was at an event and a certain university president, not President Crow, President Crow is out in front with his opinions, but a certain president stood up and said, it is time from our Pac-12, it is time that we do something about these rules and regulations that the NCAA has. And I smile because that president was new to the role in the Pac-12. I smile because it's the president who will be voting on all these different things. The system is of such. Whether I vote for what the president wants. Whether it's the AD votes, he votes for whatever the president wants. It's not that we are out there voting for what we want. And so as you move forward, think about this. If you have an opinion, please share it. Because as we move forward, Oregon has done this. As you know, it started with California. Florida is out there. But what's going to happen when all these rules pass? We cannot allow the rules to be student athletes to operate on the state rule. And so the NCAA is fast-paced, brought the committee together. It has 6 presidents in it, several FAs, several other ADs, 1 FA from Tennessee, and some students. And they will come together and right now searching for a solution. But they have to get on there fast because they cannot let it come in like this one will happen in 2023. The other one will stop happening in 2022. And they're working with Congress because the only rule available to trump everybody's rule is the one that comes from Congress. And so these 3 items today, I know you have a long agenda, but these 3 items today go to the heart of the student athlete. The academic performance, which you always are interested in and which you always ask about, is going fine, it's going well. We have a lot of things in place to help them to be successful in the right way. The transfer, President Crow has no problem with let them go, let them transfer. And he supports the NIL, but no one knows what it is we are supporting right now because whatever Congress, we gotta go to Congress, let Congress make the rule, and hopefully it will be done here. And we won't have this continual chaos where some universities will not be allowed to perform because their law with their state is contrary to the law that presidents made in the NCAA. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I have a question. Where can we give the feedback?
You can get the feedback to me. I don't know the website, but I will connect you to the website. Or right now, you can give it to me, jeffrey.wilson@asu.edu, and or to any one of the folks in athletics.
Okay, thank you. Are there other questions? Any questions from, I see a question at Tempe. We'll begin with Tempe.
Hi, I'm Dave Wells from CISA. This is on a different matter, but at the beginning of the men's basketball season, they went to China and played the University of Colorado. And as you know, in China, this is before the coronavirus, people who speak up in China disappear, whether it's on college campuses or whether they're medical professionals or whether they're Uyghurs. And I have great concern about with the so-called China rule, because China has so much money and such a big marketing opportunity that we sort of look the other way. And I'm really concerned about it. I mean, they went to Shanghai Disneyland, and that, to me, that's, I just had really deep concerns about that. I wish the Pac-12 would reconsider its promotional campaign with China, because I think it's not befitting of universities, given what currently is going on in China. Thank you.
You're not looking for a response from me, just for me to take that today.
Please take it on.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments from downtown? Samin?
No questions or comments from downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Yun, any questions from Polly?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from Tempe? Caroline?
No questions from Tempe.
Okay. And I don't think I see any questions here at West. Thank you again, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on then. We have no unfinished business, nothing under old business, so we'll move to new business. And I'll ask Lily Wang, CAPC Chair, to come up to the podium at Tempe for the first read of curricular proposals that will be brought forward at our next meeting. First reads are for informational purposes only, although you may ask for simple clarifications. Any questions or concerns should be forwarded to Lily or to me. So, Lily?
Thank you, Shirley. Hi, everyone. The following motions and proposals will be taken up at the CAPC meeting this Thursday, March 5th, and then will be brought back to the Senate for vote at our next meeting on March 30th. So as always, if you have any questions, concerns, or suggestions, please get them to me preferably by this Thursday so we can make sure that they are addressed at the CAPC meeting, and certainly let us know before the next Senate meeting so we can make sure that all parties that have an interest can be represented. And then the items listed in Appendix A will be brought up at the CAPC meeting, but will not be brought up before the Senate. So if you have any questions or concerns or suggestions, please get those to me by this Thursday morning. So here are the motions. Request from the College of Health Solutions for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BS in Population Health. Request from the College of Health Solutions for the name change of an undergraduate degree from BS in Nutrition to BS in Nutritional Sciences. Request from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, School of International Letters and Cultures for the establishment of a graduate degree, PhD in Spanish Linguistics. Request from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, School of Earth and Space Exploration for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BS in Astronomical and Planetary Sciences. Request from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, School of Geographical Sciences and Urban Planning for the name change of a graduate certificate from Transportation Systems to Transdisciplinary Transportation Studies. Request from the IRA, Fulton Schools of Engineering, School for Engineering of Matter, Transport and Energy for the establishment of a graduate degree, MS in Modern Energy Production and Sustainable Use. Request from the Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College, Educational Leadership and Innovation for the name change of a graduate certificate from English as a second language to educating multilingual learners. Request from the Watts College of Public Service and Community Solutions, School of Criminology and Criminal Justice for the establishment of a graduate certificate, Homeland Security. Request from the Watts College of Public Service and Community Solutions, School of Community Resources and Development for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BA in Community Development. Request from the College of Health Solutions for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BS in Food and Nutrition Entrepreneurship. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Lily. We'll move now to second reads and address motions that are second reads and action items. The new course proposals were distributed to you on February 19th and are presented to you as a consent agenda. Is there a request to remove any course for further consideration from the new course proposal consent agenda? I'll check with each of the campuses. Tempe? I guess not.
Nothing from Tempe.
Thank you. Downtown?
Nothing from downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, Samin. Polly?
Nothing from Polly. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see nothing here from West. Hearing no request, we will vote on the course proposal consent agenda. Maria, will you prepare the vote?
Yes, we're opening up the poll right now. Do you approve Senate Motion 2020-49 new course proposal consent agenda? A for yes, B for no, C to abstain.
That high? 8 in the first vote. We want 5.
We're closing the poll.
Game here, how many abstentions there will be.
91 yes, 0 no, 4 abstains.
Okay, thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
Okay, CAPC has 12 motions related to curricular proposals for your consideration brought as a consent agenda. Lily, if you would read the motions.
So the following proposals were approved at the last CAPC meeting on February 6th. Request from College of Health Solutions for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BS in Dietetics. Request from College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, School of Historical, Philosophical, and Religious Studies for the change of an academic organization code, MA in American Studies, LAAM, STMA, CHST, CRIT, School of Historical, Philosophical, and Religious Studies to CSOCTRANS, School of Social Transformation. Request from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, School of Life Sciences for the establishment of a graduate certificate, Evolutionary Medicine. Request from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, School of Social Transformation for the establishment of a certificate, Disability Studies. Request from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, School of International Letters and Cultures for the name change of a graduate certificate from Literary Translation Studies to Translation Studies. Request from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BA in Digital Media Literacy. Request from the Essen College of Nursing and Health Innovation for the disestablishment of a graduate certificate, Care Coordination. Request from the Essen College of Nursing and Health Innovation for the disestablishment of a graduate certificate, Nursing Informatics. Request from the Edison College of Nursing and Health Innovation for the disestablishment of a graduate certificate, Patient Safety and Health Quality. Request from the Herberger Institute for Design and Arts, School of Music for the name change of a graduate degree from MM in Music Education to MM in Music Learning and Teaching. Request from the IRA Fulton Schools of Engineering, School of Biological and Health Systems Engineering for the change of academic organization code, PhD in Biological Design, GCBD SPHD CBIOENG Bioengineering to CMUL TISCI School for Engineering of Matter, Transport, and Energy. Request from the Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College, Division of Educational Leadership and Innovation for the name change of a graduate degree from EDD in Educational Administration and Supervision to EDD in Learning Systems Leadership. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lily. Is there a request for any of these motions to be removed from the consent agenda in order to have further discussion? Any from downtown?
None from downtown.
Thank you. Any from Poly?
I'm from Poly.
Thank you. Caroline, any from Tempe?
None from Tempe.
And I see none here at West. Hearing no request, we will vote on the consent agenda. Marie, will you prepare the ballot?
Opening up the poll. Do you approve the curriculum and academic program consent agenda? A for yes, B for no, C to abstain. Closing the poll. The motion passes with 94 yes, 0 no, and 2 abstain. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Okay, now we'll move to our Senate committee reports. And our first report is from the Committee on Committees from Chris Kieselka, Chair. She'll have an update for us on the elections, and she is reporting from Poly. I can't. Should we be hearing something?
Chris, can you check your mic? You might be muted.
Okay, I'm good now.
Okay, thank you.
The academic assembly elections are coming up in April, and I would like to thank committee members for their work in recruiting and identify candidates for their campus president-elect or the grievance committees. And if everything goes as planned this March, and seating the election, then we should be voting around the middle of April. So that's what's coming up. And again, I'd like to thank the committee members for all of their work the past several weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for your work as well. Next, we have a brief report from the Personnel Committee presented by Committee Chair Mary Jane Parmentier. I think that's from the Tempe campus. Yes.
She's on her way up.
Probably took me longer to walk up than it will to give the report. So we wanted to give just a brief on the issue of dependent documentation for medical insurance, because this has been sort of in the committee since 2018, when Kevin Salcido, Vice President of Human Resources, wrote a letter after the committee brought this to his attention to the Arizona Department of Administration, saying that there's an undue burden placed on many employees. For instance, a spouse with a different last name must provide a marriage certificate as documentation, and as well a dependent child in the plan with a different last name must provide a birth certificate, adoption papers, etc. And it was agreed that this was burdensome to many people. But what happened, well, we hadn't heard anything for a while. Apparently there was a system malfunction or implementation of a new system, and so it was on hold. But Kevin Salcido was following up with this. He also made a point to me that this is another reason why they're seeking the potential of ASU having its own plan, so these things could be modified more easily. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Jane. Next is coming from the Student Faculty Policy Committee. That committee has asked permission, and it's been granted, for Maureen McCoy to give a brief presentation on addressing students' food insecurity on our ASU campuses. And I believe she will be presenting from the downtown campus. So, Maureen?
Yes. Yes, can everyone hear me?
Yes?
All right, thanks so much for having me and allowing me to present. So in our recent student faculty subcommittee, it came up that food insecurity is a definite concern from both ASU government. It's also come up at ABOR, so it's something that we wanted to address and discuss because it is partially being served by the Pitchfork Pantry. So if you look at the slides up front, this is just showing the current ASU student government recognize food insecurity as one of the goals and priorities for 1920. Sorry, it's really small at the bottom there. When this was brought up during our student faculty subcommittee, and I mentioned that we have a pantry on campus, that was not a known fact. So we do currently have a pantry on the downtown and the Tempe campuses, and the question was, why don't we have a pantry at all of the campuses? So this is going to serve as some of the facts about the pantry and kind of where it stands. This next slide just shows that at our last Senate meeting, when we heard the ABOR report, that food insecurity was brought up as a point of importance at all of our state schools, that it's something that our students are dealing with. Next slide. So just a little bit of history about the pantry if you don't know that it exists. It started in 2017 after research by Dr. Meg Bruning, who's in the College of Health Solutions, found a 35% food insecurity rate among freshmen living in the dorm on all campuses. This is a touch lower than the national average, which just recently was reported to be at 39% across college campuses. So at that point, after that research was released, we opened up a pantry at the Tempe campus in the Sonora Center dorm, as well as at the downtown campus in the HEAL lab, or in the back of the HEAL lab. Next slide. So we are currently a student organization. We are student run, which I think is really important to remember, because students helping students, I think, is really vital to this process. And it's partly to educate students about food insecurity and that they may actually be experiencing that and may not know it. Just eating ramen every day is not necessarily the best situation. As well as thinking about sustainable solutions. So we know that sometimes it might be seen as a quick fix, but ultimately we are working to educate the student population about how to get out of that cycle. It's also a method of food reclamation for food that would otherwise go to waste. So we do have a dual purpose, and we do match up with the current ASU charter, which is kind of small there at the bottom, but really just educating our population about food insecurity, which is really just not knowing when your next meal might come or if it's going to come. Next slide. So we have currently moved our Tempe location from Sonora, which got very little traffic because it's very far away, to Interdisciplinary B, which is kind of at the crossroads of student services and the MU, which is a great location that we are very excited to be in, and we're getting a lot more traffic from students there. Downtown campus, we're still in the back of the HEAL lab, but that's kind of a nice location because we're right on the main walkway there, and students do tend to see us and come in quite often. So Tempe has actually picked up quite a bit. They're actually seeing around 70 to 80 students a month, and downtown we're probably seeing about 100 students a month. Out at the Poly campus, I had conversations with the House of Refuge, which is in the former military housing out there, and they actually do have a full food bank out there. They do see some ASU students, but I don't think it's the prime resource that ASU students are using currently. And then the original reason for this presentation is that there was a question as to why nothing is happening out at West. So we did start some early conversations with Dean Sandrin out there, but then we'll see in future slides why those have currently paused. Next slide. So we are currently getting our food from a local food bank in Chandler. In our grassroots efforts, I currently pick up the food and deliver it to Tempe and downtown campuses, which ideally is not self-sustaining. We also have lots of food drives that happen. Greek leadership did a nice food drive over the holidays for us. So there are lots of local food drives happening on campus, which is great. The health inspector has approved us to only carry non-perishable food items. So that is what we have right now. Next slide. The reason we only carry non-perishable food items is because the food code is quite complex. That's all. We don't need to go into all that, but that would require a pretty intense agreement with Aramark and access to a 2-compartment sink and things that we don't currently have in our space. So we'll stick with our non-perishables for now. Next slide. We do have a page on the ASU Foundation, and we do have a tax ID number. So currently, usually ASU Giving Day is when we get a lot of our funding. So we have about $10,000 in our account right now, which is great. We use that to pay some of our student leaders at each campus because they've done a lot to reach out to the community and make some crossroads and connections for us. So it is nice that it's recognized through the ASU Foundation. Next slide. We do have social media, and these are just ours. So we are currently not listed anywhere on any ASU web page, minus just the student org web pages. So it's just ASU Pitchfork Pantry, if anyone wants to follow, on Instagram and Facebook. Next page. So we have 2 paid student leaders. We do get quite a few volunteers, and I think that's a great opportunity to run like internships through. And then we have 2 faculty advisors, and we do this as part of our faculty service, although it could be a full-time job. Next slide. So some of our recent conversations have been with our Dean of Students at the downtown and Tempe campus. And they have noted that at this point, they do not want us to expand to West and Poly until we get more data. I think the data from the original study noted that there is a concern with food insecurity, and we know that it exists across most college campuses. So I'd love to see those conversations continue, and they've agreed to have us on a monthly meeting schedule. But the comment was that they see the pantry as a Band-Aid that's not solving the underlying issue of financial insecurity. And I do understand that comment, but we're also putting students in touch with resources out in the community. And if ultimately, if we're just going to tell a student to go to St. Mary's or St. Vincent de Paul on a food bank that's outside of our campus, why can't we be seen as a resource for students on our own campus? And just another resource, not to say that we're going to keep them in this cycle of insecurity, but that we're training them to be that bridge, because a student is more likely to walk into the pantry to maybe tell another student that they're struggling, whereas I don't know if they're going to go to the dean and tell the dean that they're struggling. So we can be that bridge on a student-to-student basis to get them the resources to say, okay, you can visit the dean can help you with that next step. But I think without the pantry existing on every campus, we're not going to identify the students that are struggling. So I think that really needs to happen on a student-to-student basis, which is why it's great that it's a student organization. And I think the food recovery piece is also valuable as well, because we're recovering food that would otherwise go to waste. Next slide. So just to kind of explain what's happening at other universities, U of A, it's on their main webpage for the school. It's located in the student union. The students swipe their card when they come in. We don't have the means to do that at ours. They do have really nice relationships between their food banks. They have a rooftop garden. They do Swipe Out Hunger, which is where students can donate meal swipes to hungry students. That initiative was stopped on our campus several years ago. It never got going. The Dean of Students didn't think that was a sustainable initiative. Coca-Cola really supports them quite heavily, and they're serving hundreds of students each week. Next slide. NAU, it's located on the Dean of Students webpage, located in the Union. Every other Friday, they have the students register beforehand, and then they have like 200 students and community members that show up to basically get kind of a food box full of non-perishable food items. They also developed a really cool app that when there is leftover food on campus from catering events, there's kind of a call that goes out to the students, and the students can go get that leftover food, because we know that our catering events create a large amount of food leftovers. So that was a cool initiative. University of California, Irvine has its own portable, so it's kind of like a little grocery store in that picture there. And there's been a lot of funding put towards it. They also have full-time staff that run the pantry, probably like 4 staff people, and they are a lot smaller than we are. They also passed the Food Pantry Initiative, which is a student fee with $3 per quarter that goes to sustaining the food pantry. Next slide.
This is a couple more minutes and that's all.
All right, sorry. University of Washington, doing lots of things. Next slide. University of Oregon, doing lots of things. Leftover apps, funding for students that are struggling with food, ducks feeding ducks, all that good stuff. Next slide. They also do SNAP enrollment events on campus, which I think is nice to enroll students to get some food stamps type thing. This was just some brainstorming that we had done at a recent event, because I think there are ways to expand what we're doing right now. ASU Marketing was on board with helping us with that. You can go to the next slide. Look at my own slides here. So I think next steps, if we're thinking solutions, I'd still like to continue the conversations with the Dean of Students, because I do think it's valuable to expand to all of our campuses to have that student-to-student outreach. work with marketing to expand because not many people know that we exist. We would like to start carrying perishable food items and having like pop-up events where you would get rid of all those perishables within a certain amount of time period with the health, which the health inspector was fine with. Watts College has a new program called Action Nexus, where they're developing a community resource website for students, and I think that'll be valuable moving forward. And then just continue to connect students to resources and continue the pantry's efforts. So thank you for the time.
Thank you, Maureen. If we may, we'll put your slideshow up on the website with other materials from this meeting.
Yes,
so
thank
people
you.
will be able to go back to that and review what's going on at those other campuses. I appreciate that information. And I see that you also included your email contact info, and I'm assuming that means that people may contact you if they have questions or
Yes,
comments.
that would be great.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Let me just see if there's anyone who has an immediate question for Maureen. Here from West, it looks we have a question from West. We'll start with West.
I do have a quick question. Thank you. This is John Dell, the School of Accountancy. I was involved in an effort like this at another university, and we found that just asking corporations, particularly those in either grocery, the grocery businesses, food distribution, that they were very willing to make donations like this on a regular recurring basis. You mentioned one of the other schools has a partnership with Coca-Cola. I was just wondering if ASU at this point has any partnerships like that.
Yeah, so I had a meeting with Coca-Cola and they're very willing to help us, but the Dean of Students wants to manage all of those conversations now.
I see. Yeah, in our instance, there were like several grocery chains, Costco, and they were very willing. And I don't know with Coca-Cola what all the, I of course think of beverages, but in terms of the very types of foodstuffs that you're talking about that have a nice shelf life and everything, it was just it was like it was there for the asking. And it just
Yeah,
seems,
no, and we've found that as well. We get emails. I get emails daily from companies reaching out, but the Dean of Students wants to manage all that and take. Yeah.
Understood. Thanks.
Maureen, this is Hala. I just wanted to put a face for because we talked before, we are the same faculty meeting, committee, and I really I'm the one who suggested that we need to do something at West.
Yep.
So I'm going to check my emails regularly. I'm going to try to be in contact with you. I think this is something that is really important. Everyone knows me on this campus. I feed everyone, but I really want to feed the students who are hungry on a regular basis. I think it is something that we can help. I can help also with drives around the holidays to make sure we have in every place a bin where we have some food. So I will contact you and make sure that I'm still waiting to hear from Dean Sandron. I haven't heard yet.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Maureen.
Are there questions from Polly?
No questions from Polly. Thank you.
Thank you. Were there other questions from downtown?
No more questions from downtown. Thank you.
And questions from Tempe?
Yes, we have a question at Tempe.
Okay.
Just real quickly, on the food waste, we have a lot of restaurants that produce a lot of, throw away a lot of food. So I don't know to what degree you've had conversations about trying to save that. And I know on the Tempe campus about every other Saturday, I think in lot 57 or something like that, I forget what powwow stands for, but I go there at other locations where you get 70 pounds of vegetables for about $12, and to see whether or not they might establish locations perhaps at the West Campus, or there's another a market downtown. But those are
thank you. So we've had conversations on both of those. I actually just talked to a group called Last Call. It's an app that develops relationships with food service establishments around universities to discount their food at the end of the night and send out information to students on that. So we're working on that. The Borderlands Produce Rescue, it's at lot 59 once a month on a Saturday. And it's currently just at Tempe, as you said. We have been giving out coupons to students through the pantry to get free boxes. Otherwise, it would have been $6 to $8. They already have a discounted student rate. But Changemakers Central is currently running Borderlands, and we've been in daily communication with them to see how to expand to the other campuses with that too.
We have another question at Tempe.
Okay.
I can't think of anybody who should be more interested in supporting your work than the Dean of Students. So why is going on?
Well, can we table that question? It's a very good question.
Yes. Maureen, thank you so much for your work on this. Thank you for the report, of course, but thank you also for your dedication to this issue. I know it's one that most of our faculty have a lot of interest in. So I appreciate your being able to give your report to us today and your work with our committee. We have one more committee report, and that is from University Services and Facilities. And I'm going to ask the committee chair, Joyce Martin, to give us a brief update. I think that'll be coming from Tempe. Yes, there she is.
Yes. So just very briefly, we have met a couple of times with folks from parking. So I just wanted to provide an update on parking. So parking has established a goal of a 10% reduction in single vehicles coming to and parking on campus. They haven't built any new parking structures since Fulton in 2006. There's quite a large cost for building a parking structure. It's $28,000 per space. And the Novus project is actually taking some of the more affordable parking spaces away from the Tempe campus. So they're planning to attempt to encourage and find more ways to incentivize the use of alternative modes of transportation, also creating additional park and rides, encouraging telecommuting and Zoom when possible, working to provide more information on letting people know about these options, and then also creating apps to show your parking options day by day. Also, for anyone who didn't know, the parking also has a Twitter. For anybody that's on Twitter, they are at ASU Transit, and that's the best way to get communication about construction in real time that's happening around the university and any other parking updates. And then I've saved the bad news for last, which is that parking rates will most likely go up again. Although they do note that there hasn't been a parking rate increase since 2009, but I don't have any details on the parking increase other than that is upcoming. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Let me see if there's any questions before you go sit down. Questions from here at West?
It's maybe a different question, but related to parking. I have some unofficial information about disability parking fees, and I wonder if I can get some answer about that. I heard that the disability parking fees, especially here at West Campus, is more expensive and the most expensive compared to any other parking lots. I wonder if this is true, and if yes, where I can find further information to look into this.
That's a good question. I don't have any additional information, but I'm happy to bring that back to the committee and look into that. We're actually creating a spreadsheet of different issues that we either have brought to parking or plan to bring in the future. So if you wanted to send me an email, that would be fantastic.
Okay, thanks, Joyce. Any questions for Joyce from the downtown campus?
No questions from downtown.
Okay, thanks, Sami. Any questions from Polly?
No questions from Polly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Caroline, any questions from Tempe?
No questions from Tempe.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That is the last of our reports from committees, and now is our open forum time. And this is at this time, senators may ask questions, make statements, or present topics of interest to the Senate. I see no one at the mic at Tempe. So
No one at the mic, or moving in that direction.
someone is, do you say no one's moving in that direction?
No one is moving in that direction.
Okay, so let me just check with the other campuses. Samin, anyone with a question or concern?
No one from downtown has any questions or concerns. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Samin. From Polly, any questions, Yun?
No, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see no questions here at West. So I'm going to go, if there's no objection, we will now adjourn the meeting. I'm hearing no objection. Thanks, everyone.